So this was the start of this agenda, right? So those who run the world, that's their little kind of alarm. That's their little code word for we are now in phase blah, blah, blah of our little plan to keep control of this place. So as soon as the climate change message started, this was for all of the others as like a secret message code who run this matrix to start getting ready for the final phase of like capturing all of us and feeding off of us forever. So part 2, I talked about how they made this realm, are making this realm so expensive to live. So expensive, and they're taking away the jobs so that your human body becomes, and also, by the way, this goes along with lack of nutrition in food. This goes along things with illnesses, things like making you sick, which I'm not going to get into the details of. All of this is to make your body uncomfortable, sick. It's to make it diseased. It's to make it something that is seen as like a house that you need to get out of. Because think about it, if you live in a house where there's mold and rats and infestation, rent's too high, what you're going to do? You're going to move somewhere else. So this is what they're doing. They're creating a problem and offering a solution. The problem is make the human body so uncomfortable to be in, because the Gnostics are going around now and saying your body, it's a prison for your spiritual soul. And at the exact same time, the opposite message to combat what we're saying is we have another solution for you. You can get out of your body. Instead, you can go onto this server. You can have all these virtual things. We're making it so amazing that it'll be like almost living in a reality, like a real life experience. And things like artificial boyfriends and girlfriends and relationships with these machines it's all soft grooming to get you onto these servers. They already know how to transfer consciousness. I promise you now, the technology we have is like 40 years behind. They already have done and know this. And anyone who's disappeared, there's certain criminals and people who have been doing bad things in the world who have died in prison. These people who are disappearing, where are they going? I'm telling you now that these people have already escaped this onto these places, in servers, to live out their little days. So climate change, that's actually what I'm talking about here, is part of the experience is if you make the human body so uncomfortable to be in, and then you further make it worse by making the environment that the body in is even more uncomfortable, you're getting the process of getting humans groomed into that quick. So I believe myself through observation that I think that their plans had to move forward quicker than they anticipated. What I mean by that is things like job loss with at the same rates of AI. There's not usually it's a plan. They would have them run simultaneously. So you would have job losses with some kind of like universal basic income or people getting some kind of help at the same time to slowly get humans onto their new plan. Because human beings don't do well with sudden adjustments. They know slow and steady. You groom each and every generation slowly to do what you need them to do. So the fact that we've had this sudden drastic inclusion of AI into our lives like that within this last 2 years, but no government support, no jobs, and all the jobs being taken and no money for people at the same time, to me, tells me they're in panic mode, serious panic mode. They are fast tracking this, which means that and I believe that even the climate change scenario was supposed to happen concurrently at the same time. Climate change, there's a lot of climate change guilt that has been going around for a while, that we are responsible as humans for the things we do to the planet. There is so much guilt around climate, and a lot of people have really taken that on seriously. They live by it, they breathe it. It's lovely that these people have empathy. Let me say that. I really admire the fact that these people care. And I think it's a really beautiful idea of trying to save this place. But that climate guilt is from this climate change agenda, which is actually to do with getting us further away from nature, and our bodies, which we originally could support us, onto these servers, because we are trying the Gnostics are spreading a message of don't come back here, escape this place at the end of your life. So to stop this escape, these servers are being needed. And a human body, compared to sticking lots of people into a server, is far more energy efficient. Far more energy efficient. One human being, the amount of energy we use compared to a computer is far less. So this climate change guilt has been around, and I believe that it was at the same time that was supposed to happen with this whole, here's AI and virtual reality. Look how amazing it is. So the soft launch was taking place at the same time. But because humans have lost faith in this realm so quickly, hating their jobs, that's probably the thing that started this the quickest. They didn't anticipate people would lose faith in working so quickly. So to expedite this, they needed to have the climate change agenda speed up. So what I mean by that is physically making the climate much worse, quick. So that's why you'll notice in the last 5 years, the climate has drastically changed. Remember, you've got in the background Demiurge and Archons. They made nature. This is, nature looks from the front end all organic and beautiful and soft and biological. But in the background, it's got inner workings like a computer. They can switch things and change things. They can make the weather and climates however they choose. By making us have this guilt and shame about our environment, what we're doing to the planet, that is just only making this, being a human in a human body is a shameful experience. That's what it's doing. It's just expediting the shame of being a human in a body. Let me remind you on a happy note. This is not your fault. It's not your fault. The planets and the climates, it's their problem. They made this. They made this reality. They made it that there's not enough resources to go around. They made it that we are forced to live in these unnatural environments, buildings and stuff like that. They took away our ability to live off the land. That's the Demiurge and Archon's problems. That's their guilt to carry, not ours. And if you use a couple of extra things, you buy stuff because you're bored and you're unhappy, why is that your fault? Why is it your fault that you are stuck essentially in a cage? To combat that unhappiness, you buy yourself loads of things, you shop, you treat yourself to something. Why should you feel guilty about that? You're, after all, trapped here. You shouldn't feel guilty about that. Now, I'm not saying to go and just abuse everything and destroy everything. That's not what I'm saying. But I'm saying that if you have, for example, if you buy yourself things, you shouldn't feel shame about it. That's part of their agenda, to make you disgusted that you are a human being stuck in a body. We didn't ask to be born here. We didn't ask to be stuck here. The climates that's happening, this change, it's their responsibility. It's the Demiurge and Archon's responsibility. It's their fault that we were put into this situation, that we had to live like this, away from nature and from the land. That's their fault, not ours. And this climate that's changing is all to make it very uncomfortable again, so that you hate being here because it's so hot or so cold, that again, it goes with the whole video before this one of your experience is so expensive and difficult, you beg to be uploaded to a server. Anyway, I'll talk more about this way down again in the future, but I thought I'd just at least plant these seeds in your mind. May we all one day be free of this.